and welcome to TV. My name is Bruce Sampson, and I will be your host as per usual. And thank you guys for tuning in. So, whether you're watching live or on replay, thank you for being here. I'm really, really excited about this conversation that we're going to have today. My guest is someone that I consider to be a dear friend, and we've known each other for a minute now, and I've always he's always fascinated me. And there are a lot of questions that, despite all that time that we've known each other, I've never had a chance to ask him, and so I'm taking advantage of that today. He is an incredibly multi-talented individual, singer, dancer, songwriter, arranger, producer, so many different things, right? And he wears so many different hats, and we're going to talk about a lot of those today. And I am honored to welcome to Believe TV, Mr. Justin Bobbs.
What's going on, Captain? How are you?
I'm good, man. Good, good. How's that New York city life treating you?
Man, it's a lot of hustle and bustle, but it's treating me pretty good so far.
Good, 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 good. So why don't we start with why don't you first like just tell us like where you're from, and like those early days for Justin Bob's.
Yeah, so born and raised in Los Angeles. Was born in Culver City, California, and then was raised primarily in like Gardena, California. So I got to experience a lot of the city life and the glitz and glamour and of what people seem to know about Los Angeles, or the preconceived notions about Los Angeles. I was exposed to a lot of entertainment very early, given my location, and through that was able to kind of get introduced to a lot of theater, a lot of music, and a lot of dance. Just kind of not even having to look very far. It was something that seemed to be easily accessible to me at that point in time, in my life, especially considering my family was very musically inclined. My mother loved to sing. Used to be a singer back in the day. My brother is a producer himself, and then my dad was a multi instrumentalist. So music and performing was always kind of in the forefront. But I definitely think Los Angeles and living in the location that I was living in helped with that experience and understanding, kind of how and where the music and entertainment scene was really where it was, and what it was doing, and in particular points in times, and things like that. So yeah, it was a beautiful experience living in LA. I'm very grateful that I got to I get to say that I was born and raised there. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I always wondered if music and all of that entertainment ran in your family. I know your sister is
Hmm.
also a performer,
Yeah.
and so I knew that, but I didn't know about mom and dad and all that. So that's very cool. Um, I I'm gonna tell you right now, we are having a little bit of tough technical difficulty.
Okay.
For some reason, my system is showing that we're not broadcasting on Facebook, only on YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be playing with that as we talk to try to figure out if I can get that going.
Gotcha.
But to okay, so we'll figure that out in a second. Anyway, so I guess I want to ask you. this is a weird question. I guess all kids get asked when they're young. It's like, and asked you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" What would Justin have told me? Little Justin have told me back then.
That's a great question. If I can think back to like little me, um, he probably would have told you he wanted to be, honestly, back in the day. I think even then I knew I wanted to be a performer, but I think I wanted to be like in a boy band, specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think I probably would have told you I wanted to be, the next In Sync or, Backstreet Boys or something like that. I definitely had a huge like pop star phase when I was younger. So I was watching a lot of NSYNC, a lot of Backstreet Boys, like even like Britney Spears was like really popular around that time. Like I was watching a lot of like the pop stars, and obviously, like my youngest influence, I would say, was Michael Jackson for sure. So I had every CD, every video, like, so I think seeing people, be in like a specific type of light, and you know especially live performance, just like the the biggest largest scale of live performance that you can get, watching kind of some of the greats at the time doing what they were doing. I was like, oh, that sounds like something I would love to be a part of.
Yeah.
But I think I've always been an individual that never wanted to be like the complete center of something. So I think a boy band was more appealing to me because it's like, well, I could be, one of four different people. I don't necessarily have to be the center of attention.
Right. It's so funny hearing you say this because in the statement that you just made, kind of confirms something that I've always felt like, kind of from my early days of meeting you, is that
Mm,
not not that, because I don't think anyone would like look at the two of us and go, "Oh, they're so much alike," but like I felt like this kindred spirit with you, like
yeah.
very early on, and so some of the things you said, I'm like, "Oh, I can totally relate to that," because I felt the exact same way as a kid.
Mm,
Michael Jackson for sure. It was Jackson Five for me. That was like, oh, I mean, I knew I wanted to be involved with music,
right.
prior to that, but it was seeing the Jackson Five, performing on TV that made me go, oh, this is possible. This is
Yeah.
something I want to do, and I wanted to be part of a group. I didn't necessarily want to be the focal point,
Yeah.
but I wanted to be part of that, and I always wanted to be part of the creative process of, what I mean, of all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so all of that's all kind of interesting. Um, so now, did you go to, like, were you part of a performing arts program in school? Um,
Early, yeah. So I went to this school called Kenwood, which is like kind of in Culver City, ish area. But I actually ended up transferring school districts because I got in kind of embedded into you. I don't even know if you remember like what they used to call the gifted program.
right.
I kind of was a part of a gifted program of sorts, but it was more for kids who had more, I guess you would say, like artistic, I guess, interest in school. And so through that like artistic gifted program that I was a part of, I got to move school districts, and I ended up going to El Segundo. And through there is where I started doing choir because I didn't really do choir before that. Like the school I was at before, we like sang together, but it was not like a organized, constructed thing. It was just kind of like like an activity every once in a while. But El Segundo, the school that I was going to, actually had a choir program, which was actually funny enough, ran by a mutual of ours, a friend of ours, Kara Baldino. And so yeah, that's when I first started doing choir and was introduced to singing. And through that, I found out about Young Americans through Kara. And yeah, and then I kind of fell in love with the idea of singing with a large group of people, and kind of continued doing that throughout school. And then my friend, who I was doing choir with, was actually the one that was like, there's actually this thing where you can like sing in a group, but you can also dance and you can act. And I was like, wait, what? And so that was my exposure to musical theater. And I didn't really start that until I would say about maybe fifth or sixth grade, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, not necessarily was like a program, but I there was opportunities for me to kind of get exposure to choir and to singing and dancing and all that stuff. Yeah.
Now you brought up Young Americans, which is obviously where we first met,
Right.
and I'm just curious to know with all of the international travel, the national and international travel that you did, was there anything about any of that that has contributed to your art or your perception of entertainment and the arts?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I think probably one of the best things for me as an artist was to be able to travel to see so many different aspects of the world, and specifically see how so many people live. I think that was a blessing that I was able to do that so young too, and so early in my life, to be able to travel and get so much exposure about not being stuck in such a small bubble, or in one particular mindset or idea, being exposed to so many different ideas and so many different ways that people live and think about life and think about art as well. That really helped me kind of navigate, who I wanted to be as a person, primarily, but then artistically, what type of things that I wanted to put out into the world, and the type of energy that I wanted to give to people through my art. So yeah, the international travel was probably the one of the greatest experiences I ever got to have, especially doing it while performing. Yeah, I think about those moments, and with a lot of gratitude. Yeah.
Sweet. Now, when would you say that you first started in terms of writing, like your creativity of creating original pieces, whether that's music or choreography or what have you?
Great question. I would say the probably my earliest. It started really early. Very, very. I would say, like, honestly, I want to say like third grade, fourth grade, maybe. I mean, when I really was starting to like write songs. I mean, if you could call them that, being in fourth grade. But that was really when I started to understand, like, that I could express myself by writing things down. I was a very shy kid, and not very talkative when I was young. So, instead of being loud and rambunctious and all those things, at least vocally, I just decided to just write down literally anything that I was thinking on paper. And I think that doing that started my love for writing things down, at least. And then my brother was still living with us at the time when I was like really young. So I would watch him write songs and make music and have his watch his friends come over and they were making songs together, and they're always writing down on paper. And so I was constantly asking my brother and his friends questions about how they would write stuff and what they were writing about, and I would literally just kind of copy them and kind of make my own songs, or like hear something they were making, or write my own little verse or whatever as they were making stuff. So I think my love for writing started really early, in that aspect, and then it kind of, as I got into, I would say, about middle school, it really started to blossom into, okay, how do you how do you structure a song, like what is a verse, what is a chorus, what are these things. And was really starting to listen to the music that I was listening to at that time, and go, okay, what about this song do I love? Like, what about the structure of it do I like? What about the writing do I like? What are parts of the song do I not understand? And how do I understand it? Why did this person write it this way? And in doing that, I used to also carry carry around a little dictionary, and I started doing that because I read this autobiography, funny enough, about Eminem and about his journey as a songwriter. And in the book, he talks about carrying around a dictionary to just help his like vocabulary. And so, yeah, I'm like, I think maybe 10 or 11 years old, carrying around this big Webster's dictionary book in my backpack,
Yeah.
uh, that took up all the space in my bag. But yeah, so I started doing that as well, which then helped, with my ability to comprehend certain words that I, probably shouldn't, like a normal 10 or 11-year-old probably wasn't really thinking about. But I think through the writing process, and then also just the fascination that I was starting to get with words and vocabulary, and just the English language, I started to fall in love with hip hop specifically, and I think that's kind of where the my trajectory as an artist started. Yeah, and then from there it went from just being like regular song structure, just to really just writing like raps and lyrics, and trying to come up with the most complex rhyme pattern and things like that. So which then also helped my writing in the long run. So my journey started really young. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I would say, like probably around 10 or 11 is when it really started to kind of take shape. And then I would say, like, I was like 15 or 16 when I really started to go, okay, I want to really write songs. I want to make songs that, like, aren't just songs for people to listen to, but are things that people take something away from when after they're done listening to it. Now let's take the next step and like figure out where that goes. So yeah, I would say early on in my career or my life, just as a writer, it was probably like 10 or 11 when I really started to fall in love with the writing process of everything.
That's awesome. So, yeah, like the more and more you talk, the more and more I'm like, yeah, yeah. I can relate to that because I was probably about the same age when I started, at least experimenting with writing songs and trying to come up with something. So, tell me this though, like, at what point, eh, whether it's the writing or whether it's the from a performance level, did you recognize that this was that, like, hey, I'm good at this, or like I can do this, or was there somebody significant in your life that said, hey, you got this?
Yeah, I would say it took a person. I think mainly writing, at least writing songs for me, started as not necessarily a necessity, but just as something, just as a voice that was like, it felt like I could have a conversation with myself and learn more about myself, and kind of navigate through just being a young teenager and just trying to figure things out, you know. And then yeah, it took like friends. It took, a very cool teacher of mine. Her name is Bonnie Mae. It just took a couple people, hearing my music, hearing, seeing things that I was writing and going, hey, you really, there's something greater than in this than what I think you think this is. And I think you need to lean into it a little bit more. And it was, I would say it was in around high school, probably like 10th or 11th grade, because I was putting out songs, and I had these CDs that I was burning, and I was giving them to my friends and stuff. And it wasn't even like, I wasn't even thinking of it as like, trying to become successful in this, like in music or anything like that, or trying to get my name out there. Just for the fun of it, it was like, well, I haven't recorded, and if you guys want to listen to it, you can, kind of thing. But the more I started doing that, the more people were like, you actually have something here. Like, you should really lean into this, like really lean into this. And especially because I kept telling people, it was like, yeah, yeah, like I like music is, I love it. Like, I will never let it, I will always do music probably in my life, but I gotta do this. I gotta do this, because that's what I was hearing from people. Like, I gotta I gotta get the regular 9 to 5 job, and stay the course, and make sure I do all the things right. And I was really good at sports, so basketball specifically, and so people, like specifically my father was like, lean on this, like basketball. You can get a scholarship from this. You can get whatever. So I was kind of pushing all that aside. I was making time for it, but it was starting to become a secondary, like, this is just something for fun when I have the time and availability to do it. And yeah, I would say about like junior year, it was like, no, I actually, this is what I love to do. Like, this is really, I feel like they're like, no matter how many times I try to push it aside, it always comes back into my life in some way, shape, or form. And I don't really have a control over it. It's just kind of what naturally happens. And so I just stopped fighting it at a point.
Yeah.
And just kind of was like, yeah, this is my destiny. It feels like my calling. And strangely enough, that junior year is when I got my acceptance letter to Young Americans, which was kind of felt like at the same time, kind of like a sign, where it was like, oh, well, maybe I need to, maybe I need to stick to this, because this is true. Clearly, I can't escape it. So,
Right, right.
you know, but yeah, that was definitely the moment, the shift, that like 11th grade was probably that moment where it was like, okay, people are telling me that this is there. I have something going with this. I can't put it down. I can't look away from it. It's, no matter how much I try, it comes back to me. I don't want to fight it anymore, because it really is something that brings me the most amount of joy in my life. So I'm just gonna, I'll figure it out along the way. And
Right.
I remember having the conversation with my mom, and she's like, whatever you do, I'll support you as long as you commit to it, and you do it with 100% of your, with you, with 100% integrity, 100% authenticity, and you work hard to get to the end goal. Then I'll support you however I can. And so hearing that from your mother, that it does a lot for you. So I was like, all right, well, if she's riding with me, then let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Well, during your Time of the Young Americans, again, where we first met. Um, in fact, that Japan tour, was that your first tour or had you been on a tour before that?
That was my that was I think that was my second tour. Yeah.
Second tour, okay. I was debating on whether or not to have the discussion about our meal together.
That is a memory that is etched in my brain for the rest of my life.
It's so ridiculous that that's why it's funny. Like I, I'm the same way too. Like I'll never forget it, and it was something so silly and so like just whatever. But anyway, okay. So I guess it's only fair like to go ahead and tell this.
Right? Yeah.
So we were. I feel like this was towards the beginning of the tour.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Um,
was.
so we were doing these 3 month tours, and we were in Japan, and I barely knew Justin at this point. Like, I mean, I knew who he was, but like, I don't think we'd ever had a conversation or anything up until
No.
this point. And so we're we're traveling, and so we normally like sometimes we travel by bus, and sometimes mostly by train. And we'd have these schedules where we had people who would lead us from place to place, and we'd sometimes have breaks between workshops and stuff that we were doing. And so this, I just remember that, and I feel like this was one of our first stops where we had like most of the day off or something. And they were like, okay, here's some per diem, here's some money for you guys to go do lunch, be back at this time, whatever. And we were like in like the city center of some place. And it was like you go off in all these different directions, and there were, restaurants and places everywhere. And I don't even remember if we had a conversation or we all just ended up at the same
I
place.
literally think it just happenstance.
So I just know that I'm looking around, and my point of view, like usually when I was on these tours, unless one of my children was on the tour, well, actually, even in that case, because I'd always want to give them their space, so it wasn't like, oh, dad's hanging around, whatever.
Right.
So I would generally just go off on my own, somewhere, because I didn't want people to feel like, oh, we gotta hang around with the old guy and make sure, he's okay or whatever. And so I just go off on my own. So I do think that it was one of those things where we just happened to land. So there were all these different options of places that we could eat. A lot of, clearly, Japanese restaurants, different types, Korean, like
Yeah.
all this different stuff. And you and and I know one other person for sure, but I feel like there were two people.
I think it might have just been the three of us, me, you, and Tristan.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're all African American, and where we ended up was Kentucky Fried Chicken. We ended up at KFC, and I didn't even really think
Oh,
about it until we were all seated. Like so we went in, did our order or whatever, and then we all kind of sat together. And I remember that we were at like I don't know, like this counter, like upstairs counter, and we could overlook, the city,
yeah.
and everything. So we're just sitting there having our fried chicken, and all of a sudden I just looked around and realized that all the black people went to get fried chicken. And so I made a joke about it, and we all just started busting up laughing and just thought that was the funniest thing. And it was like you're saying, like it wasn't even a discussion. We just kind of
No. We
but I
said,
know
oh,
in my
no.
mind, I was thinking the reason I went there was since it was the beginning of the tour, part of my thought was pretty soon I'm going to be with homestays and I'm going to be in other environments where
Right.
if I wanted quote unquote American, you know, food or whatever, it it may be more complicated for me to get that. It may be a while.
Right.
So I'm just going to take advantage of this time to have, you know, an American style meal or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, bef- uh, And don't get me wrong, like I love eating at Japanese restaurants and all that, but it was just one of those things of a thought of like, I might as well just do this now
Yeah.
because these aren't everywhere, so let's just go ahead and do that. Anyway, sorry to deviate on that. It's just one of the things that makes me laugh.
What's
My
so
young,
crazy is that that like for me and Tristan, when we were trying to find a place, like me and him, we walked into there strictly because we were like, listen, like we don't for just for today, we would just love to be able to read the menu and know exactly what we want, like when we walk in.
right, right,
And so he was like, you know what? Like, are you down for like just KFC? Like, are you cool with that? And I was like, dude, I'm down. I'm game. But what cracks me up is just the fact that we were like in the window, like right, and like I remember like the KFC sign just being like right above us, and we're
right.
like right underneath, just three black men in the window, right under the KFC sign. We were like, this is terrible.
I know exactly.
This is not good.
Because it was simultaneously, it was like this thing, like a partial guilt, also.
Right.
Like how embarrassing that we just live in the stereotype. Like, come on, man. Oh mercy. Okay, so let's get back on track. Sorry. Um, so I said towards the beginning of this whole thing, that felt a connection with you like very early on, and as a performer, watching you perform, um, it's like just being real. Like I know you would never say this, but um, like in rehearsals and in shows and stuff, just watching you with everyone else, there was like, oh, that's different. In much the same way that, as much as like, let's say the Jackson Five, let's go back to that. Five talented brothers, six including Randy, right? Very
Right.
talented, but there was something about Michael that, you know
Right.
what I mean. Like you looked at that at a very early age immediately and went, oh, that's different though. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so it's kind of that same thing. Watching you was has always been for me kind of that same thing of like, if Justin's on the stage, my attention's going to go there because I'll find his energy. It doesn't matter where he is. He doesn't even have to be front and center. I'm going to find that energy and um, that authenticity, that, all the things you said your mom said, make sure that that's all there. It's like I could feel all that, sort of thing. So for whatever that's worth. But
Well, thank
I
you for.
wanted to say that there's probably only, um, well, I'd say, obviously aside from your family, I'll put them probably at the top, assuming. Um, but after that, there's probably only one other person who would argue that they're a bigger fan of you, and you know who it is. It's like
Yeah.
my youngest daughter, uh, Kiara, who was your new kid director, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's your new kid director, and she always says, "Oh, I'm his biggest fan," like always. And anytime if I ever want to, if ever I'm talking to her, and I say, if I don't want to tell her right out that, oh, I saw Justin, or I want to say something about Justin, I'll just say, your all-time favorite, and she goes, Justin, and I go, yep. It's never even a question. um, but I did want to ask you, with so let's jump ahead. So that was early in your Young American career that
Yeah.
the KFC incident happened. But so let's jump forward to coming out of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and uh, is that 2021,
Yeah.
something like that.
Hmm.
We find ourselves up in northern Michigan,
Hmm.
um, with the first real comeback of the Young Americans,
Right.
because everything had kind of shut down and everyone went their separate ways. And so Harbor Springs was like, we're used to having you guys every year, and we'd like to bring you back, to do a camp and concerts and stuff. And so I was honored to be asked to come in as writer and director for that project. And so we were reacquainted in that instance. Um, but shortly after that, you then took on another role.
Mhm.
So can you talk to me about that? And was that something that you went after, or was just offered to you, or you know what I mean? Like how did that initially come about?
Um, Great question. I mean, I would say it's something that I worked for, but I don't think I was aiming towards, if that makes sense.
Mm,
I think it was something that I think I was prepared for it, and I don't think I knew personally I was prepared for it.
yeah,
I think I had put the work in, and I had enough time and enough mentorship from certain individuals. I had enough of that to do the job, but I think it took somebody, just kind of like with most most things in my career so far. It took someone else being like, "Hey, like you can do that,"
right.
and so once once someone was able to be like, it started slowly giving me opportunities, and I don't think I even clocked it until later that they were doing that, but they were slowly giving me little things here and there to kind of start, getting the ball rolling. And then eventually it was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, I think I actually know how to do that, yeah. And I think for everyone else, they were like, oh, we know, it's like, we know you can do
Yeah,
this. We've been trying to get you to recognize that you have this ability,
yeah,
which was a blessing. And I think that's a reoccurring theme in my life as well. As just like, people constantly seeing me for more than I see myself, and then not only doing that, but then being able to put faith and actual, effort towards me, and let me know that, like, hey, you have this ability, this gift. So, like, let me let me show you that how you can utilize it, or let me give you the space to utilize it. So that's kind of how I stepped into that role, was just, someone just giving me mentorship and guidance, and, well, multiple people giving me mentorship and guidance, and and then eventually me kind of just falling into that place, and they were like, all right, here you go. And yeah, I was it was a blessing in disguise, but also I think at first I was a part of me was terrified, but just because I didn't want to let people down. Like, that's another big part of I guess why I don't jump the gun and, like, be like, I can do it, because I don't want to let anyone down, or fall short, or in any way. So I think there was a bit of fear there, but again, the mentorship and the guidance, and also the people that I had around me that were willing to let me take on the roles that I was taking in that particular point in time, gave me so much respect, in the place that I was in, regardless of age, or anything, like it just, they were like, no, you respect us, we respect you, like, and we believe that you can do this. So I had no reason to fail, because I every single person around me was wanting me to succeed, and was willing to help me succeed however I needed to. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, it's funny too. Leading up to this conversation that we're having right now, I was just thinking about the past and working with you and how. Well, the first point I'll bring up is that very first summer. I don't know if you remember this conversation, but there was a point when you and I and Kenny Morris, who at the time was the president of the board, we're all having this conversation, and at one point he turned to you and said, basically, like you're the future, like you should like recognizing your talent and all of that, and whatever the words were that he said, I don't remember exactly, but I just remember turning and going, "Oh, you see it too." Okay. Like, okay, it's not just me, like you get it too, right? Like, this dude's special, like, okay, cool. And then later on getting to actually put together shows with you.
yeah,
One of my like there's so many numbers that I was thinking about that we've done together that you took my idea, like I give you this idea, this thought thing, and in my head, I'm seeing one thing, right? And then you're like, oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And then you would leave and come back and then show me what you did. And I'm like, oh, that was way better than what I had in mind. like, like where you went with it took it to this other level. I'm like, oh, okay. And it very much made me very comfortable in the notion of, I mean, I've never had an issue with collaborating with people, not really, but there's always that caution of, in that collaboration, are you going to get off track? Is it going to go some other way? You know,
yeah,
and the cool thing was is that you really didn't go another way. You just, well, there was a couple of cases where you did, but but it was but it was the right idea. You know what I mean? Like it was still on par with what we discussed. And one of those is, well, there was all this reimagining of some of the Hamilton stuff.
yeah,
Like I look back at that stuff and just go, that was special and that was cool. But then the other thing that's my favorite, that was just a dance piece, was the boogie medley. If you remember that,
yeah,
right? And that was the one. That's why I said the thing of like, well, you did kind of deviate from what I intended, but it was better than what I intended because I was picturing it being singing and dancing and that sort of thing. And we sat down and we discussed, and I told you I want to do all these songs that have boogie in them, and we're going through this, and you're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And so when you came back and showed me what you had done, and like you cut the music and everything, like I didn't have a chance to like put the music together and stuff, like you did it all, and then came back and went, okay, here it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. And so much so now that any of those songs that I hear now, I immediately see your choreography, and see you teaching it, which is incredible. The other thing I wanted to just kind of touch on, I do want to jump into a couple other things, but the other thing that I would say is special about you is your teaching. Like, I so much enjoyed watching you teach. It's one thing for you to be teaching the young Americans, right? So you have this group of people who have demonstrated on some level that they have talent and that sort of thing, and this is what they love and want to do. And so you're up front and you're teaching them, right? And I've always appreciated you not allowing them to settle, you know,
yeah,
which is one of my faults because sometimes I do just go, okay, I'm not going to push you much harder than that. And I love the fact that you do it, but you do it from a place of love and belief in them. You know what I mean? Like that's what comes across. It's like no, why would I let you settle when I know you can do this? Like
Yeah.
there's no point in doing that. And so I appreciated that. And then the other thing I forgot about you until we went back to Japan was watching you teach kids,
Mm,
and especially teaching kids in another country the different language.
yeah.
Like that was special. Uh, and I may have even said this to you. I was like, we definitely should have been videotaping that because that was a master class in how to teach. Like it was just incredible. Um, so if so, I guess that leads me to the question of um, is that a strong part of who you are and what you part of what you want from this existence and
Mhm.
your art, or is it just one of those things where I just happen to be good at it and it's just doing my thing?
I think I saw it the second way that you mentioned, just kind of like, oh well, I've been told I'm good at it, so I'm just gonna keep. Yeah, I'm not gonna fix what's what isn't broken. I think I looked at it that way at first, but the older that I've gotten, and the more that I've thought about, kind of like what we talked about earlier, just the mentorship that I've had in my lifetime, and how easy it could be to not pass down information, or pass down, skills, and just being able to pass things down. The older I've gotten, the more I've thought about that, just the ability to pass things on. And so that's kind of changed how I've looked at teaching, and how I've looked at being a vessel for, the next generation to do whatever it is that they want to do in life. So I've the older I've gotten with each age, with each year, I've kind of taken teaching a lot more serious than the next, just because I know that I want people to be able to have something that they can pass down on their own as well, because I think it's one thing to I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine. Like, it's one thing to learn, but it's another thing to be taught. And I've had the blessing to be like taught in my life, instead of just like being like just learning something, because I think even in school, like, you have teachers who will give you homework and you'll learn the subject, and like that's great, like, if you learn the subject. But then you have teachers who taught you something. And those are the types of, those are usually the teachers that change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's not even about the subject that they're they're primarily trying to teach you, but you take something from them. And so I I just I hope in this lifetime that I can be that for somebody, whether it be as a performer, as a musician, as an actual teacher. Like, I hope that they're taking something from me, and I'm teaching them something, and they're better off than than we first met.
yeah,
So that's, yeah. I would say teaching is a huge pivotal part of my life. I think it's always been, but I think the older I've gotten, the more mature I've gotten. I think the the more different I've seen it, especially with the travel of seeing the globe and seeing, globally, how, especially, how tradition is passed, and how different cultures look at tradition, and they look at, you know getting older and things like that, and just how that is perceived, and how information and legacy is passed down between cultures and stuff, and that definitely altered and changed how I perceived, just even the small, minuscule things that I think aren't important to me personally. They might mean the world to somebody else, and even taking that little thing serious, even in that moment for that person, so that they can, take that with them, and that could be a memory that they can either pass down, or some knowledge that they can pass down. Just trying to think of things like that, and in that manner. Yeah, I think teaching has definitely become such a integral part of my life now. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, it's evident. Um, so now I want to shift over to kind of back to the songwriting, the producing, the that side of creativity for you.
Mhm.
So I've teased you about this before, and I've told you, like, I am amazed at your humility and when it comes to well, to everything, but to this in particular, because if I'm not mistaken, so and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think you've had two different involvements with being nominated or being part of projects that were nominated for Grammy awards. Is Am I
Yeah.
correct in that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. The first project was a kind of a music album compilation. I don't really know how to explain it, but it was music that was created for a motion picture, which was Black Panther, the first Black Panther movie. Yeah, so I got the opportunity of working with a friend of mine who was working with an artist by the name of Baby Keem, and he was working with another artist by the name of Sakari, and they were making a couple of songs together, and two of those songs ended up on the Black Panther motion picture soundtrack. And so that project got nominated for a Grammy, which was crazy. I was actually on tour with the Young Americans when I found out about that. So that was a wild experience. And then the second one, I was working with a friend of mine. He goes by the producer handle forward slash. We were working on some stuff, and he ended up sending some like demo early versions of what we were working on to another musician who ended up like judging it, and like 15, 20 versions later, it gets sent to another artist by the name of Black, and he puts that on his album, which also got nominated for a Grammy. Which, yeah, so it's crazy. The again, coming back to the belief and faith of other people having in me, and letting me know that I have this ability to do something. Because I mean, I honestly would have never gotten those opportunities, and if it wasn't for the artists that I was literally collaborating with and working with, because they were the ones that were like, I think we have something. Trust me
Yeah.
on this, and I'm gonna do some magic and figure some things out. And yeah, and then later on I find out that it's part of something much greater than me, which yeah, I can't even describe the feeling that I felt when I found out.
No,
Yeah.
that's incredible. I was joking with you earlier in saying that, yeah, like if I was in any way associated with a Grammy nomination, just one, let alone two, I would find ways to sneak that into conversations. Like, So, oh, were you talking about Grammys? Well, yeah. Oh, it's amazing to me. I'm like, how are you not talking about this? Incredible. Um, okay, so now let's talk about um, this new project, uh, Empyrean. So this is another case where when you first start promoting that this was coming, and you promoted it as, um, if I remember correctly, I think you said your first studio project, and it's been in the work for years.
Mhm.
And I was like, how is that possible when you've been putting out music for as long as I've known you?
Right.
So, so talk about that and why this project is special and how it differentiates itself from your other work.
Yeah. I call it the first studio album just because of I guess the manner in which it was made and the I guess the feeling that it gave. Because I mean, I've put out studio projects before, and but I think for this one specifically, I was changing my producer handle, for one. So this is like kind of the first time I'm putting things out under just the Daxt moniker, instead of other names that I've had in previous years. Before this, I was going as apparatus, and I literally probably, so it's 2026. I would say almost 15 years I've been you know making songs under the apparatus name. And it was a name that I created when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13. And so I I've had this name for so long, and yes, I've kind of built a career on it, but there was something, I just felt like I was growing out of it. It kind of felt like I was kind of holding on to the childhood hand of myself, and I was like, no, like the the younger me, was making completely different music. At that point in time of my life, completely different sounds. I was making a lot of, I was learning a lot, and so I was actively, publicly making like corrections and adjustments to my career, and altering things about the type of artist that I wanted to be, how I wanted to be perceived artistically. Whereas now I'm almost, I'm 29 now, and I feel like, no, I'm pretty confident on who I want to be artistically at this point in time. Is making music for almost like 17 years of my life now. Like, I really feel like I know exactly, when I put out a project, it's not me. There's no rough drafts. Like, there's no like,
Yeah.
oh, this song is not done, but I just wanted to try it out and see if you guys like it. Whereas when I was 14, putting songs out on SoundCloud or Bandcamp or wherever I could, figure out to put my music at. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that just, was throwing stuff on the wall, see if it'll stick. Whereas now I'm very thorough, and I'm all the weeding through things. Like, this project took 6 years for a reason. Because I was really with a fine tooth comb, just like brushing through every song, every layer of instrumentation. I'm playing things with my hands, and like trying to learn how to do it properly, like the greats. There's so much like finite, like small nitpicky detailing that I'm doing now artistically, that I wasn't doing at 14. So it felt like a time to make a shift. So the name changed, the sound changed a little bit, and that's why I think I considered it the first, because it was like, well, it all this time that you guys have known me and have heard my music, you've been hearing me kind of gear up to this moment, like, or gear up to this time in my life where it's like, okay, there's no more rough drafts, there's no more demos, there's no more, like, trying to figure things out in front of you. Like, by the time you get to an end product with me, know that it's going to be my best, and if there are rough things, or if there are patches, or weird glitches or anything like that, like, it's intentional, like, there's a artistic purpose behind it, and not just, me trying to figure out how to
Right.
work with things. And so I think just the energy around this project is different. The amount of collaboration I did with this project was also different. I think the scale was just a lot larger. With a lot of my music, I try not to give myself a budget. I think I try to work with what I have, and work with the people that I have. If I gotta, send money to friends and family to, have them help me or whatever, like, that's fine. But, like, trying to outsource, I don't want to do that too much. I try to, kind of keep everything pretty much in house, and, like, if I can do it by myself, then I will. But this one, I was not afraid to be like, can you play guitar on this? Can you play bass on this? Can you add some strings here? Can you do this? Let's actually, write this out on sheet music and arrange this, and then, get other people to play this for us. You know what I mean? Let's have this person sing. Let's, like, I called you for narration. It was, like, things like that, like, just trying, literally outsourcing as much as possible, and so that I can really focus primarily on the storyline, and, like, the experience of it all. Because, I didn't want to take away from the experience, because I wanted to be able to say that I played guitar on track 7.
Yeah.
So there's also that. I think there's a level of maturity that I'm also gaining artistically, where it's like, you don't have to do everything. If you want to do everything, you can, but you don't have to. And I think this project was me really understanding how I operate as an actual producer of a room, not just a producer of a song. Like, because a lot of times when I collaborate with musicians, it's one on one. So where me and them are talking back and forth about song structure and layering and all this stuff, even down to the songwriting aspects. So I've been able to produce, truly, in that aspect. But being like a Quincy Jones of sorts, where it's like, no, I'm commanding this entire room of musicians to be on the same page, and to do what's in this brain, and have that be able to come out onto the track. I didn't really get to experience that until this project, where I'm literally, like, having bands in front of me, and I'm playing along with them, and I'm telling them the chord structure. We're figuring out, okay, this key is this certain chord is not working. Let's adjust this chord, and, like, having to do that. I've never had to do that out loud. Like, usually I'm able to just do that by myself in my room, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
having to do that amongst other individuals was a challenge, but it was also, like, a blessing, because it's something that I've always, I've looked at the greats. Like, I mentioned Quincy. Like, he's someone that I've looked up to, because I've watched videos of him doing that in real time, and I've that sounds like what I would love to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this project was just an elevation in I guess in every way, just elevation as an artist, like my artistic journey, has elevated in a sense, but then also just the scale in which things were happening for this project elevated as well.
Nice. Well, let me ask you about the title.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, let me step back and say thank you for including me in this project. We, I know we talked about it for a long time,
Yeah.
and to be totally honest, I kept thinking, I, I think he's just being nice and wanting to include me, and so I don't want you to think that I ever was blowing it off, but it was more a thing of you don't have to do that. Like, like, do your thing. You don't have to throw me a bone. It's all good. You know what I mean? Just do your thing. Um, but yeah, so thank you for including me, and
Yeah.
especially in a project that meant so much to you and that was representative of such a pivotal point in your creative existence and stuff. So
Yeah,
appreciate that.
I mean the I know we had talked a lot, like extensively about wanting to collaborate at some point and being a part of each other's like uh, creative processes and stuff. And for me, I was like if I'm gonna have Bruce be a part of it, I like want it to be like a good one. Like I don't want it to be you know something that I'm like it's like oh this is something that I is cool that I want to put out like I wanted it to be like no this is something that like it really I'm gonna put I put all of my effort in because I and that was the other thing with this project too is that every person that I collaborated with is like either a close friend, somebody that I've like admired for a long time like artistically. Like these are people that I've either looked up to, they've mentored me, or something along those lines. So I was really picky with like I got who I wanted to work with and have in be a part of this for the exact reason because I knew that this was gonna kind of be a shift in a trajectory of like my career. So when it started to head that direction for this project, that's when I started to reach out to you and be like, hey, I think it's I think it's time.
Well, well, thank you. I'm definitely honored. So back to the question I was going to ask you. Empyrean. What is Empyrean?
Yeah, great question. So dictionary wise, Empyrean is the realm between light and fire. And it's tied to a lot of Greek mythology. They consider it like not heaven, not earth, not hell either. Just kind of like this ethereal, like middle space between like earth and heaven, and like like the gods. Just kind of like this heavenly existence, but it's not quite heaven yet. And so this was a word that I actually my uncle used to use a ton. I actually never knew what it meant, and when he passed away, I was like, I should probably figure out what this means. And so I looked it up, and strangely enough, it just it felt like it had a significance tie to a lot of how I see my art specifically. I try to create, especially when I'm thinking about production. I always think of like I want people to feel like they're not in this like earthly space. They're not necessarily it's not angelic by any means, but it's just like in that middle space. It's just like I don't feel like I'm necessarily here on earth, but like I just feel something above us that we all can't explain.
Hmm.
That feeling I want people to kind of feel when they listen to my art, like they're not necessarily out of body, but just something bigger than them. They feel you can feel the ground underneath you. You can you can start to understand how small you are in the grand scheme of the universe. You know,
Yeah.
that feeling is kind of something I wanted to give to people when they were listening to certain songs that I create. And Empyrean just kind of kept being the word. So strangely enough that like I didn't even realize throughout all the years that I was making music that like Empyrean is like a word that perfectly describes like what I'm trying to get people to like to hear, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, when I looked it up and I was like, oh wow, like that's it. That perfectly describes it. So when I started working on this project and I started having certain songs like done, and once I would finish them, I would just kind of put them aside in this little file, and I literally titled this like folder Empyrean, not in any way of like trying to put a project together. It was literally just like these songs kind of feel like this word to me,
Hmm.
and then lo and behold, I have 15, 16 songs, and I was like, oh, like I think I actually have a like a body of work here. This was like 2 years ago. And then more life happens in that time span, and I have more songs, and more experiences are happening, and so it just kind of felt like, okay, I think I'm starting to feel this. Like this is starting to describe what's happening in my life as well. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start making this an actual thing, a cohesive thing. But yeah, in the context of the record, Empyrean is really just the soundscape that I'm trying to in kind of throw you in. From the title, like the very first track, "Fall Into Me." It kind of starts with these like swelling like orchestral violins, and I kind of had it start that way on purpose because it's kind of rising you into that space, and then you're kind of there until the project is over. Was kind of the idea. So yeah, I would say Empyrean is really just the experience of this light and fire realm of life. And I think it's perfect because with it being my first studio project, as I've been titling it, it's kind of like it's not yet heaven, not earth either. So this middle ground of like we're rising into something, and there's still more places to rise to, and I think that is a perfect embodiment of like my career right now. Is where like, well, I'm just beginning, and like I'm very excited to see where it goes, like what
Yeah.
trajectory my career takes as a producer. So I think Empyrean was just like literally the perfect word to describe all the things and encapsulate the 6 years of work that was put into it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, I also wanted to talk about. I see you wearing a hoodie.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about that because that's another major project that you're a part of, and I wanted, if you would, just share with us what it is and what that journey has been for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm deeply, deeply honored that for the past 2 years now, I've been a part of Labelist the musical. It's a 90-minute musical created by Drew and Leah Lachey of Cincinnati fame. Drew was a member of the boy band 98 Degrees back in the day. And Leah has been she's a well-known choreographer and director herself. She's choreographed for you think of it, she's done it. She's an incredible human being. But with her experience as being a choreographer and Drew's experience of doing live theater, they kind of banded together. They made this show based on this kind of this, I would say, exercise that they did with their students. And the exercise was basically they just wanted to know, how their students weren't feeling seen or heard. And so they wrote it down on a piece of paper, and the results that they got from their students inspired them to write this show, just so that their students could feel to have a place to kind of express themselves, you know, put their vulnerability out on stage. And this has been a musical that has been kind of developing and gathering its feet over the span of 8 years or so. And now we're doing off Broadway. We're performing at the Duke on 42nd Street. I was a part of the cast last year, and when we did our first off Broadway run down at Theater Row, and it was an incredible experience. Was so honored to be a part of it, and I'm so glad that they asked me back. But yeah, the show is really, it tackles everything from ableism to racism, sexism, and just how these things affect the everyday human, and ultimately trying to find the humanity in all of us, and make sure that we all are seeing each other beyond just these labels that people like to put on each other, and seeing the actual pure human that's that beyond the label that we place on each other. So the impact that I've seen with audiences, and people really seeing their stories being reflected on stage has been incredible. It reminds me very similarly of some of the things that we've seen with Young Americans and with the kids that we've gotten to teach throughout the years, and the impact that the Young Americans is, and like that whole, the performances that we have put on have had on those kids. That same type of trajectory and that change, that shift that happens, over the 3 days or the 5 days when we were doing camps, like that you and I have seen. I see similarly, just even within 90 minutes of a show, I see the shift in heart and the change in spirit. People leave a lot lighter. They feel empowered when they leave the show. And it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of, and to be able to do this show almost daily. Because we have shows Wednesday through Sunday, and so being able to do this many times, and tell these stories pretty much every day, and change lives every day, has been blessing is understatement. Truly. Yeah. But yeah, the show is beautiful, and it's also, I would say, it's a blend of the musical theater world and the pop world, just because that's the energy and that Drew and Leah are so used to with their background. And they do such a masterful job of doing so. The lighting is almost like you're in a concert experience while you're watching the show. So yeah, it's really cool. And my primary role in the show is a dancer. So the choreography is next to none. Like truly, I thoroughly enjoy dancing and doing these like numbers every day. Yeah, it's truly an awesome show and an awesome experience. But like more than just a show, it's truly something that's touching spirits and changing lives as well. So I'm so grateful that I get to perform, as a career, and get paid to do that. But I'm also doing a show that means so much to so many people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, do you know yet if there are plans for this to one move onto Broadway, or motion picture or tour or any of
All
that?
the above, I would say.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Knowing Drew and Leah, their aim is always high. They're always shooting for the moon, and with the impact they've seen this show have on people, they want to get it on as many, or get it to as many eyes and ears as possible. So they're looking at everything, I think, and at every angle, and so I think they definitely want to take it to the next level, after this. But yeah, I mean, right now I know that they're riding on a high of just being here. I was specifically talking to Leah. This is a dream of hers that she's had for so long. So, but I'm sure, I knowing them, they're hard workers. So I'm sure they're scheming up something really cool to for the next steps of the show. But yeah, I would say that they're definitely aiming high, for something super cool in the future. Yeah, at Broadway probably, but yeah, definitely something big.
That's awesome. Well, so if do you know how long the show right now is scheduled to run at the Duke? Or
Yeah, so we're doing shows until August 29th. Yeah, so, and we're doing shows Wednesday through Sunday. Some of our shows, some of our days are two show days. So yeah, we're booked up until August, which is really cool. And there's also possibility that if not if but when things start to really move like a steaming locomotive, there's a possibility of expansion. So which is also exciting. So we'll see what's in store for us. But yeah, right now, August 29th, it looks like our closing date.
and if people are in New York or passing through and want to
Yeah.
check you out, uh, how would they go about seeing your show?
Yeah, so you could, there's a couple ways you could do that. So you could obviously go to labellessmusical.com. You could find the tickets there, or you could go to todaytix.com. There's also a link to the Labelless Musical there, where you can find our tickets as well. And then if any of you follow any of the cast members that are a part of Labelless on social media, all of us pretty much have all like the ticket sales and things like that in our bios, and we're constantly posting about it. You could probably find it on any of our social medias. With that being said, yeah, please feel free to post about it, post about the show, tag us in it. We love seeing your guys' responses to the show, your reactions to how the show made you feel. And please come say hi. We're always in the lobby after the show if you guys want to come and say hello. So yeah, those are the places where you can find us.
Okay, and and I'm sorry if I missed you if you already said this, but have you have you done like a cast album?
Yeah, so we
Or,
do have a cast album. I think it's on all platforms. And pretty much all the songs that you guys are hearing in the show are on that cast album. My personal favorite, if I could shout one out, is Cheap Seats. I love that one. It's sung by my friend Diana. Yeah, that's a great song. But yeah, the cast album is available online. You can just look up Labelless the musical, and it should pop up.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And well, I I honestly could go on for hours talking to you, and they're already like for every question I've asked you, I have like these subset of questions that I'd like to come back and and pick your brain on. But I'm going to do everything in my power to try to get there before August 29th to uh, experience Labelless in person. Um, yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I know how busy you are, and uh, you've always got stuff going on, you know. Uh, so I really, really appreciate it. I did want to ask you one random kind of selfish question because we've
Yeah.
never actually had this discussion before, but um, the nickname you have for me, um,
Mm.
like you, like I don't, yeah, I feel like you've just always called me that, and I I know what I assumed where it came from, but I wasn't really sure, so I'm just curious to know where you came up with that.
Well, I know you're a huge Star Trek fan, so that's quite literally where it came from.
Oh,
Just just you being the captain of the ship.
that's so funny. 'Cause I had no I literally thought this entire time, for whatever reason, the first time that you called me captain, I assumed that it came from Dead Poets Society. That I thought, oh, he
Oh,
probably just recently watching that, and then and then it just stuck. That's literally the story I've been telling myself this whole time. That yeah, he was watching at some point, saw me right after, and then just started calling me that. Because he loves Star Trek. That's funny.
yeah. Yeah, no, literally, oh, Star Trek. I was like, oh yeah, I could just start calling him Captain. I think that's the way. Yeah, and then I literally just started doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, again, before we sign off, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or share? Anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to throw out there? Like
um.
Empyrean, where is it available? Like,
Oh yeah. Empyrean. Yeah, it's out now. All platforms. Anywhere you can stream music. Is it's available. Um, yeah. If the merch is coming soon for Empyrean, so if if you're a fan of the album, and you wanted something to wear, or kind of show off your love and support, that's coming on the way. So stay tuned for that. Just want to give a shout out to some of my labelless family. I saw some of you guys commenting underneath. So shout out to my labelless cast and crew. Love you guys a lot. And thank you, Bruce, for having me. I really appreciate it. You've been one of my mentors for the longest, and I've learned quite a lot from you. And honestly, would not be where I am in my career if it wasn't for your mentorship and your guidance. So I appreciate that, and not just you, but your entire family has done a ton for me. So I appreciate you guys so much for always believing in me. But yeah, please, if you guys, if you, I mean, Bruce, if you're ever in New York, please come say hello. I would love for you to come meet Leah and Drew. I'm sure that they would love you. If you're if anyone who's watching this, if you guys are in New York, please come see Labelless. I promise you, it is a life altering show, an amazing show. and we would love to entertain you for 90 minutes. And yeah, thank you for just allowing me to speak about my experiences and the things I'm passionate about, Bruce. I appreciate you.
Same. It's an honor. It's an honor. Thank you, brother. Alrighty. Well, I guess that's it for this episode of Believe TV. I'll see you. I'll see you in New York.
All right, all right, Captain.
Thank you, man.
Of course.